Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, it's water line. Slowly unfolds itself. Flowers bring us happiness. In a way, they unfold the same way that joy does. We often confuse joy with pleasure. They're not the same. And joy is a permanent condition and pleasure is a temporary one. Pleasure is derived by seeking external sources and drawing them inward. You seek pleasure in things. We find pleasure in food, we find it in sex, we find it in all sorts of different things, but in all cases, we seek it from the external and attempt to draw it in. And temporarily, it satisfies us. But in the long run, it wears off because it's something we bring from the outside inward. Joy, and its second cousin happiness, the reaction to joy, is something that we have to radiate from inside. Yes. And it asks nothing of the world. It needs nothing to feed it. Yeah. Yep. Well, Gracie, she expresses joy for being here. Right, Gracie? Yeah, that's pretty constant. She's always joyful and happy that she found herself a home. And she doesn't ask too much for it. A little bit. Just every once in a while, she says, Bill, pet me. Bill, give me some food. You know. Yeah, she's pretty light. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Joy comes from inside and it radiates outward. Now I can attest to the fact that this is one ugly world and there are a lot of unhappy people out there running around. Yeah. And well, I'll tell you, you walk into a crowd expressing joy and happiness and somebody's going to go, what the heck is wrong with you, buddy? Are you nuts? Yeah, happens to me. Happens to me. Yet, it takes a certain amount of strength of will in order to allow joy to flow outward from ourselves. It's harder than hating initially. Because we have to overcome the reality of what we're seeing happening out in the world. That's right, Gracie. Isn't it true? Yeah. Yeah, you're such a good girl. I find it fairly easy to express joy around Gracie. Right? Yeah, because you're a pretty joyful critter yourself. It's important to understand the difference, really, between what we need and what we desire. Yeah, they're not the same thing. Oftentimes the things we desire will kill us, all right? They're not necessarily good for us, nor are they always satisfying either. Usually, desire tends to lead into more problems and suffering, generally speaking. I mean, you can imagine the sorts of things a person can desire, you know, that's not going to bring them anywhere good. And usually, it's the truth with almost everything. We learn to do this initially, I believe, as infants, while grasping for our mother's breast, nursing. You know, and in that case, here is a combination where need and desire are actually the same exact thing. We are desiring that breast. We need that breast. You know, and so they get combined into this motion of grasping. Okay, humans grasp for everything. Well, grasping isn't actually necessary after a point. Yeah, as we wean and we no longer need to nurse, or heaven forbid, somebody gets us off the bottle, the solid food, if we didn't actually have a mother. But, yeah, that's... So as we wean, often we just don't stop. We do not stop. We learn it as infants, and we keep trying to pull the world to us, pulling the world to us. We see so many sparkly, interesting things out there, enjoyable things, things that bring us pleasure, and I mean, it's entirely possible to live a whole life doing nothing but indulging yourself in the pleasures of living here on planet Earth. There's a lot, man. I'll tell you, I know all about food. Food can bring you pleasure temporarily. It'll also make you fat. Gluttony is desire for food. Zen would say, food is necessary, it's good for you, but don't get hung up on the taste. That's where it goes wrong. See, we need it, and it's good. And feeling, pleasure from what we do is fine. It's not the feeling of pleasure, it's the pursuit. Yeah. I know as a musician, for instance, there were nights that were on, and there were nights that were not. That's human, So we're not always up. Well, those nights that were on, it's difficult to actually describe what was the energy, how did that happen, and so forth. It's not always duplicatable. You can't always reproduce it. But when you find yourself relying on it as being the performance, when you can't reproduce it, which you can't always, you're going to fall. Yeah, I fall. I become depressed over it. Yeah, sad. Oh, I can't do this thing. And I found myself musically, in a way, in a state of swinging. Yeah. If I had an extraordinary performance, it was Woodstock and the Star Spangled Banner. I was happy. Oh boy, I felt so happy. At least I was feeling enjoyment from what had happened. I was indulging in this rush. But when it didn't happen, and even worse, maybe when the audience walks out, well, it didn't feel good at all. And so it's... Or actually, reality of life is right in the middle someplace or another. And so it kind of induces a bipolar state when we're seeking pleasure to find our enjoyment, because it will not bring us happiness. Happiness is actually, I believe, a reaction to joy. Okay. And joy is not something that the ego brain, or what I call the meat brain, the ape mind, okay, this thing we've created that I call Bill, okay, it isn't really capable itself of feeling joy, because it is always attempting to pull everything inward, and that becomes very temporary as everything wears off. It goes through your fingers like sand. No, the joy has to emanate from a deeper sense of consciousness and reality and radiate outward. It doesn't ask for anything, it gives. Desire for pleasure and enjoyment takes. It brings in. Now, whether it's from other people or whatever it is, okay. Well, reaching for pleasure and enjoyment, we often do not realize that what we are reaching for is death. Yeah. I have known people who became so overwhelmed with the issues of their lives that they committed suicide. I have known many more that have become overwhelmed with the issues of their lives, whether it be divorces, failed love affairs, loss of businesses, whatever. And they decided to do it slow. And so, for instance, a lot of them went to the bottle. Yeah, I had a lot of friends, quite a few. I was a musician. It happens. But a lot of them went to the bottle when life got tough, and the reaction to it, because what they desired they were not getting, it was falling apart around them, and they just couldn't find the sense internally to radiate outward, realize that they're doing this instead of that. They basically slowly drink themselves to death. I do believe it's a form of suicide. I think that everybody who looks into that glass of liquor and sees the death's head in the ice cube, eventually, they say, it's a good death wish there. Well, now I can tell you from personal experience, people who actually radiate true happiness, which happiness is a reaction to joy. Okay. Joy moves inward from outside this space, from a higher sense of consciousness. Its reaction in this material world here is happiness. It brings us happiness. It asks for nothing. It gives. It's a giving force. And I suppose I find it a little easier to express joy when I wake in the morning, when I walk into the front room and out onto the porch, and the sun's coming up over the Pacific Ocean here in Hawaii, and the clouds are colored, and the birds are singing, and so on. And that happens most of the time, unless it's raining, and I like the rain too. I enjoy rain. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But, it's easy for me to just stop. That's the point. Now, first thing in the morning, when I haven't even got my head screwed on straight yet after getting out of bed, it's easier for me to stop. I have a tendency to do almost all my meditating in the morning because my brain hasn't gotten cranked up on the problems of the world yet, and it's so much easier to get it to go, shh, be quiet for a while. Enjoy reality. Yes, see, what you think, how you think about everything, and so on and so forth. It's really often has very, very little to do with what's actually going on. I'm sorry, but that's true, because most of your reactions to everything that happens on this planet is out of memory. Well, memory's from something in the past to begin with, and maybe you didn't get it straight. There's a lot of things I remember that they're probably messed up bad. Well, memory makes brain wiring. Yes, that's how we do it. And, if you get up the first thing in the morning and immediately get the ape brain turning and start to work on those problems that are actually ghosts and so on, and look out at the world and go, oh, it's so awful, it's ugly, there's war everywhere, people are dying, the weather in Florida is miserable, and on, right? Yeah, it's easy to say from the best weather on the planet here in Hawaii, but I guess for me, it was my approach towards living that allowed me to be in this state of mind, state of the union, whatever, to be here now doing this. I'm not in Gaza. Okay, I'm not in the Ukraine. I am here. Okay, now I'm concerned about those folks. They got trouble. And it'd be nice if somebody could find a little joy over that, but you can't. It's very difficult, But what I think I see in the world out there, what I think I see in the news and so on and so forth, that is not me, and that is not my state of situation. I've said it numerous times, and occasionally somebody will agree with me that Heaven and hell ride the same bus to work in the morning. They oftentimes will sit in the same seat, side by side, perhaps discussing issues. Okay, yeah, I know, because I sit often side by side while I'm expressing joy and feeling a happiness for my existence. I'll sit side by side with somebody else who is miserable, and in most cases, in this country, most cases, we bring misery on ourselves. Most of the time. Don't always, but then again, what do I know about the mysteries of life? You know, why do we choose to live where we live and be born to the parents we're born and so forth? Don't ask me. I don't know. I got no idea. All I know is that some of us have a little better than the others. And if we realize it, well, it's important to be in that state, and it's also important to share it, because it's not a taking thing. Joy is a sharing thing. Now, many people who are extremely depressed and wrapped into the problems of the world in their lives so that they cannot see outside of that, they will reject it. And they will tell you you will be called naive, for instance, for expressing joy on this planet. Yeah, you will be told that you just don't understand, you know. Well, depression wants to remain depressed, and it will fight tooth and nail. And the biggest enemy of depression is happiness. Yes, the depressed hate happiness. It hurts them. They don't like it at all, because it basically debases their sense of reality. Life is not like that. Life is not good. Life is bad. Yeah, it debases their sense of reality. So I can't help it, all right? You know, if I'm feeling joyful and that irritates somebody else, which it does online here on YouTube, because I'm broadcasting this stuff out into the entire planet. There is somebody out there right now who's hearing this and going, boy, is that guy an ass. Oh, is he stupid? And actually, I'm going to include him in my list of things that I don't like. I don't like this guy. Right. I get it all the time. Yeah. Almost every video. I'm not out here to cause problems for people. The only reason I remain here on the channel is somehow I have a sense that there are some people that really enjoy this, and I think maybe it helps them. I hope it makes the world maybe just a tiny bit better place. Because if you haven't noticed, most of the time when I step in front of my camera, I'm smiling and it ain't fake, baby. I love my life. I do. You can't be depressed and love your life at the same time. This is not mutually compatible things, you know. I suppose in closing, I can talk all I want, but maybe I can leave you just with a little bit of something that makes some sense, huh? I haven't always felt this way. Okay? Yeah, I've been very normal at times during the crash of love affairs, the loss of my property, loss of family, relatives getting shot and things like this. It hasn't always been easy. And of course, I've always been told, boy, you're weird. That doesn't help either, trust me. Everybody pushes you into the outside and says, there's a strange guy, don't pick him for the softball team. And, well, during times of extreme stress, when I was very unhappy and desiring another outcome to my life, during those times, I took a lesson from a Zen Buddhist named Thich Nhat Hanh. He's Vietnamese and had audience with de Gaulle and John Kennedy and such in an attempt to try to stop the Vietnam War, part of the active school of Buddhism. And don't just sit up in the temples and chant and get into the street. Well, he left me with a mantra. A mantra is a repetitious thing, very simple, and for me has been very effective. He would say, I breathe in, I live. I breathe out, I smile. I breathe in, I live. I breathe out, I smile. Now, this helps to accomplish several things. One, controlled breathing is a part of a meditative practice, and it's a good thing. So a mantra like this helps you control the rhythm of your breathing so that it's even, all right? But after a while, it's almost impossible to repeat over and over and over and over again to yourself to say, I smile, without smiling. Yeah, you got to really fight against it. It's a fight to stop yourself from smiling if you try this. And, smiling releases a whole lot of chemistry in the brain that's positive, and so it reinforces a positive state. For me, when I would start going down, life had crashed on me, and I'm feeling crushed, and it gets worse, and the more I think about it, the more it pushes me down into a black hole that I can't get out of. Well, it would allow me to turn off the downer thoughts for a while. I mean, I do this on the freeway. I'd be going to work, and all of a sudden it hit me how miserable my life had become. So, while driving, I would control my breathing, do this mantra. Well, what had happened is I'd stopped going down. Yeah, and it's like a safety net. It would stop me. These days, I don't have those problems anymore. My life has taken a turn, and now what it allows me to do is to stop my meat brain. Yeah, to stop the world as I think it, and allows me to be able to experience the world more as it is. As Alan Watts would say in meditation, when there's sound, there's wind, there's disturbances, there's birds, there's all sorts of stuff going on. He says, while meditating, take the world in as a piece of music. We don't usually judge music, break it down, analyze it. We just enjoy it. Now, try taking it in as if you're listening to a piece of Beethoven or something. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. And I feel pretty good if it brought you any kind of happiness whatsoever. Well, if it didn't, maybe consider the fact that you aren't feeling too good today, huh? Hang loose. Aloha.